couple of matches we saw on Miramar that went by really fast, honestly, because we got some pretty quick winners on the board, and we saw Stalwart able to take their third chicken dinner on this map. I'm genuinely curious, just as much as the boys, about like how well is BRA going to be able to do on this map, because obviously yesterday they started to perform just a little bit better, a little bit tighter on Miramar itself. But today they've actually had some good games on Erangel, right? They're coming into this feeling pretty decent about themselves. They're feeling fairly happy. And this is a great moment for them to keep pumping up those numbers, because they have climbed significantly, honestly, over the past couple of games. If you remember, they were pretty much dead 16th at one point. Now they're 11th technically into that survival stage with 42 points. So they're not too far behind a lot of these teams. Honestly, though, like the guys on this were saying, Jackie, I think my main concern at the moment is Alter Ego. With one chicken dinner, the only team really to drop so low from that top 3 position down to 9th place now at 55 points. So really not accruing much of anything today. Despite, look at that, man. Rosemary actually doing quite a lot of damage for the team.
That's what I mean. It does feel like, you know, Alter Ego, they're being able to find themselves in situations where they should find points, they should find eliminations, they're dealing damage, they're surviving late into games. I just don't quite know what's gone wrong for him. You know, yesterday maybe the difference was there was a little bit more backup as well supporting Rosemary. Today it does kind of feel like at times it is just sort of Rosemary that's being the one to sort of put bullets down range and give them a leg to stand on. Who knows, mate? Maybe we'll see a change here. You know what I mean? Change of scenery, change of mindset, come in fresh, not for the Mad Bulls. Very unlucky. Straight in, not ideal.
That is super unfortunate. I mean, Mad Bulls have had to go for a bit of a long drop here as well, because obviously they dropped down towards Impala here on Miramar, so they've had to really go for the long parachute across. They dropped down in some unfortunate areas around Malise, who have just chased them down. Currently, Zerich is even being chased down by some of the players there on Malise eSports. I don't think that he's going to make it out alive anytime soon either, so pretty crazy for them overall. Mad Bulls looking over towards Pasija Evos in the distance. It's a tough game. It's a tough game. They had to alternate a little bit here, drop over towards the north side of Los Leones. Not likely to get over towards their original drop spot. The vehicles in this area are pretty sparse, so fairly rough overall. For BRA, though, this is the game to watch for them. I think if you've got focus on anyone, it should be this team, because they are certainly making the climb at the moment. And Gladiators dropping back down to 13th place. That little bit of fire we saw from them early on seems to be dimming, sputtering, just embers left remaining.
And also, I mean, you know, when you look at it for what it is, right, on our right-hand side, Skyscraper, you can see with Bright Esports all the way down in 11th for 42 points. If they wanted to try and overtake, let's say, Reject, that's only about the difference of 20 points or so. It really isn't that big of a gap, right? It's close enough where, yeah, you pick up a chicken dinner, you play a great game, it could be there. So the possibility to shake things up, especially towards day 3, day 4, for some of the teams that start to get all of the problems solved, figure out any of the issues with adjustments they need to make with their playstyle, with even confidence for some of our Tides. Going into day 3 and day 4, there's a chance for some big leapfrogging to happen. But that's something we can speculate more towards the future on. For now, we'll stick to the facts. We'll stick with what we know and what's been happening over the course of the day. Get the lay of the land here in terms of where our teams have spread out from. Gladiators a little bit more fragmented as well. They've been a little bit more willing to play the buddy system. Meku and Matic have looked like they've had kind of that drive back to instigate some of the fights. It'd be interesting to see if Mad Bulls can really turn this one around as well, because of course you've been hit again with a massively unlucky start. You lose a player from the get-go. You're feeling probably uncomfortable. It's Miramar. It's taken a while to get here. What can they do about it? First team to lose a player. Let's see if they can reset, because they need some points, man. Not in a bad spot overall. 10th place is 10th place, but they're not really gaining, blank. That's what worries me. It feels like, you know, you could stagnate quite easily.
Yeah, they had that little pop-off, right, and they were able to accrue some points, and that's great news for them. But at the moment, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because they can't really move down towards Los Leones to loot, because I8 is a team that loots on that northern side, so they have to push through them to get to the south and have a little bit of looting capability down there. I'm also pretty sure that they're just out of vehicles, with Malise eSports taking one of the few vehicles that was found by the team on Zerich, which I imagine they would have used and got in as for to head over towards Impala and pick up some more of the Mirados in that area. That would have been great news for them. Unluckily, now they're left without a paddle in this game and are just having to live on with pretty much just scraps of loot here. It would be really unfortunate for Mad Bulls to go down early in this game, because they just have a bare nothing to work with going into the future. Pazija Evos looks like they're just completely surrounding them right now. And it's going to be super hard to leave because the doors are just locked on all fronts. Some of these other teams, though, Alter Ego, fairly decent path in from El Azahar. They've got a lot of space to play with, considering of this. We have this standoff between Pazija, Evos, I8, as well as Mad Bulls. So a lot of area around Minas Generalas is just open.
Tulika firing off some warning shots here, hoping to get a connection, but the bullet drop not going to be favoring him into this one. So no trade back, at least early enough yet to give them anything really to work with. Easy pickings for Loops, as they seem pretty happy over towards Graveyard, just picking up whatever they want. Loops have had a good day of it as well, man. It's pretty wild when you think about just how well Stalwart have been playing blank over the past 2 days. And you're only about 20 points away from being able to lap them, potentially catch up with them. So Loops really having the proof in the pudding here in terms of the chicken dinners and also just the sheer amount of eliminations and placements they've been finding into the past few days.
Yeah, I mean, you got a team like Stalwart just look animated and lively right into these games. You can see the moments that they're impressing in. And then there's Loops, really, who is just quietly confident, just plinking away at the pickaxe at that big old mine vein of the points over towards the PUBG Mobile tournament that we're currently in of PMGC. And they just made their way up to second place by doing it. And I think we haven't had too many comments about them because there isn't many mistakes to highlight from this team, right? It just feels like they're a very, very consistent team that makes the right moves a lot of times. You know, they don't have the most insane fraggers on the team. We have seen some way better players in this lobby already show themselves up and just speak to their own talent within this lobby. But as a team, they're just fantastic. They don't have too many flaws on them. And I think some of the positions that they take, they love playing these high ground positions. They love setting themselves up for success. And it's worked wonderfully. You know, it's taken a little bit of time because that's typically how it does work for a team that just plays consistently, plays to win these games, plays to get those placement points and just a good amount of eliminations each game. But now they're second place. And like you say, in a position to take over versus Stalwart.
And that would be impressive, man. It really would be if they were able to, you know, have a huge game of it here. Because remember, obviously, you know, this is still one game away from the last game of the day here. We have another Miramar after this. So opportunities to accrue the last few points of the day are there. You just have to write the history books. You've got to be the one that put the best foot forward and walk away with any additional benefit. All the squads on the move now as the zone will adjust itself. We start to see everyone swarming down, trying to get center circle as quick as possible. Awful lot of opportunities for clashes here. Quest, it always feels like they get unlucky on their rotates and they are thrown into a fight that 9 times out of 10 they don't fancy being in. At least here, being able to match the pace, seem to have a relatively clear pathway into the zone. Gladiators on the move as well as they'll start to arrive on the scene.
Yeah, I think for Quest, they've got a pretty base operations that they go for every single game. And I think that's kind of what's putting them in some awkward positions. Like, there does seem to be some good adjustments from a lot of these teams in terms of how they want to rotate in, what's going to be open, how they want to play it out. And I think that Quest does have that to a rudimentary degree in terms of like stage 1, stage 2. But once it gets beyond that, I think that's where they really start to struggle just a little bit of like being able to work with things on the fly, figure out what rotations would work in this situation. That I just think some of the other teams teams in this lobby have a better grasp of. One of those teams in particular, I think, is very good at this. And again, I'm as surprised as Kale is about this team, which is Xavier. They're very good at identifying some really good rotational paths in that end game, where a lot of teams do struggle to find their way in. Xavier's been looking for these decent little avenues to be able to just slide their way in, find a good spot, and play from there. One thing I don't like about that team at the moment, though, is just the insistence to drop into one position, play a shack, and just be really, really bullheaded about it. I just want to see a bit more aggression from that team because they've got great players on side. In the meantime, Mad Balls finding Lewis, so there's a bit of revenge there from Malise. Again, right now we've got Quest on our screen versus Reject. Kante goes for one, doesn't find it.
Reject trading at least versus Quest here relatively efficiently, man. Kante, yeah, that's not what you want. Feeling like Dante on that one as he was going through the 7 rings of hell, burning brightly from the Molotov. Ooh, nade straight to the face as well. Poser probably almost knocked off balance from that one. Just ate the grenade straight to the face. It has at least slowed down the clash versus Mad Balls, but Mad Balls, they look a bit hesitant about it. Instead, trying to play on the angles and look for an opportunity to peek. They're taking so much damage, Blank. This is turning on its head. Mad Balls, they could fall through the fingertips quite quickly on this one, unless Flique or someone can do something miraculous. He is just firing out warning shots, peppering into the walls, dealing damage to the cement, but not cementing an opportunity for Mad Balls to get a grasp on this one. And they've taken so much time with it, they've been able to get back into a better angle. Flique, at least on the cross there, hits one, and that's an important shot to find.
Yeah, really important, because at that point in time, it felt like Malise eSports was going for a reset on that fight. So able to take out another one of those players gives Mad Balls a little bit of an extra edge here in this fight. This is the same team that took down their main man Zerich earlier on in this game to remove that vehicle from them. The fact they've been able to stand up tall again and Malise eSports continue to push the issue, and Mad Balls refuse to be pushed around, but one goes down and Kissu looks for another. One player remaining, it's just Flique.
Around the corner, bouncing into action. Quick switch into the secondary, and Flique finds the damage, shutting down Kissu, but he is still in a 1 versus 1. Still in a position where if he makes a single wrong move, it could all go wrong. Here's the repeat from the right-hand side. We'll see you later. Looking to stop him now, pushing in, getting close, just pre-firing on the peak with the SMG. He's trying to play off the back of the hill, giving him timing to work with. He's literally giving him timing for this, Blank. He's going to be able to get the full hill back in. Flique can reset the fight from this.
That is massive for them. See you later. Backs off a little bit, gets back round, but the building. This Vector is absolutely deadly. Used to be a really well-used weapon in PUBG Mobile back in the day.
Whoa.
Does a lot of damage very quickly, but see you later. Able to hit those headshots, just puts him down with the M4. That is big news for Malise eSports, but what a great hold off by Flique. Always been kind of the solo god of the team, but he just wasn't meant to be there at the end. But again, really impressive stuff in the meantime. A7 lost 2 players to Gladiators, by the way, down towards the southwest side and via Damar, which I didn't expect at all. Currently, they're the furthest players from the circle itself, so Gladiators do need to get a bit of a move on. But you know what? That is still good news. Taking down the winners of that last match always feels good.
Certainly a better position to be in. Some interesting fights have been happening on this one. It's been a bit different to what we saw on Miramar yesterday with the way the squads are playing it. A little bit more calm and collected as well for some of our sides. Gladiators roaming together as well. Obviously lost a little bit of stature, as they are down to just the 3 members. 2 eliminations at least though, so they've hit a couple of shots. They're a little bit warm into this one. Loops have got control of a compound here as well, and that's Bra eSports that are just ahead of them, with Falcons off to the wayside and what looks to be some of the remaining members of DX also thrown into the thick of it. So could be a bit of a rough encounter on that one. Bra eSports forced to fight some familiar foes if that does kick off. Meanwhile, STE on the move again as well, trying to keep all players alive whilst Falcons pepper bullets their way from the blue.
Yeah, they've been behind the Gladiators for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those knocks and flushes on Gladiators did come at the hands of STE. This is a fortunate circle for both Falcons, Stalwart, and Gladiators. And luckily, Nerzard takes a knock on the way into the circle. You can see some of the engagements happening on the screen. Stalwart really don't have the best of positions to playing in. They would have loved to have gone for a full-on crash towards this building. Found themselves a bit of a safe haven to work with going forward. But it's Matic to finish off Nerzard off in the distance. Good shots from him.
Taking down Nerzard at the best of times as well probably feels like a bit of a win at this point.
Yeah.
Because of like how sick he's been, man. If you're starting to clash against him, you're probably thinking, all right, sweet, here we go. Getting into the grip of things.
Fight's possible now.
Yeah, we can build from this.
It's doable. It's basically a 4v4 now that Nerzard's gone. This is okay. But yeah, so I think for a lot of these teams right now, it's a bit of an awkward circle, honestly, heading up towards that northwest side, pulling away from Los Leones. Not a lot of teams fully committed in. Alter Ego probably the most trapped right now, but there is a decent rotational path outwards. It's a question of whether Alpha 7 spots some of these players. I think Rosemary has a good idea of where one of them is, at least. He spots out Carrillo. There is some shots from the sides. He has to edge himself back behind this tree, but quickly gets a lot more shots at him. Potato's just going to send direct in. How is he alive,
Mate,
bro?
I don't know how he's been able to stay alive for so long here. Even now, 5K's down. As Alter Ego will at least be able to clean up onto him, jumping back into the vehicle and giving up the goose on that one. Feeling a little bit more relieved. Senab, though, he's got the DBS and he is clearing out the lower levels. Quick flick as he goes through the door. Oh, look at them. Arriving one by one. The cavalry is on the scene and they want to stop Senab dead in his tracks, taking him down in 14th place as A7 are out on Miramar.
Yeah, it was all just way too much for Senab there at the end. Even if he is godly with that DBS, you just cannot handle versus a team that understands versus a shotgun like that. You just got to flood into the room, right? One by one, and then just spray down. It works out. You're likely going to lose at least one fella from the mix, but at least you get the fight finished. Now, Alter Ego, they look to set their sights upon I8 from this top side. This is very interesting to me, and currently still rocking with a full four-man squad. This is good news for Alter Ego. There's still a chance to get into this game, but they have revealed their hand now after that initial spray.
Tiamba, compared to yesterday, it's felt like they've been a bit more quiet as well. We've not really seen that same level of aggression that's coming out from them. They had a couple of nice point-scoring games yesterday. Can they get anything more for themselves here on Miramar? At the minute, you found early contact. Been a bit of a feud between these two sides as well. It feels like they always end up running into one another.
Yeah, Malise eSports probably one of the other like quite heavy edge teams that do like to play over towards these sides of the map, and Tiamba very similar to them. So it kind of makes sense why these two teams would clash so often on all the maps. And I think for Tiamba as well, I like this team as a whole. They're a slow and steady wins the race type of team, and that works in their region. Fortunately, now that we're heading in towards PMGC, a lot of these teams just have so much firepower behind them, even from the Western region, some of these SEA teams. And I just don't think Tiamba's quite ready for it from playing in their region where everything's a bit more slow, methodical, calculated, as opposed to just using that firepower, that muscle to overwhelm you.
Not able to thrive in the chaos as easily as some of our other teams that are a little bit more used to it. Oh, the double bonnet was very nearly a possibility there, but at least Ren has been able to render that chance useless as he'll strike back onto him and clean up. Takes down the squad, saves his teammates Bacon after it got a bit uncomfortable. Hello, Alter Ego eating nades as well. It's always grenades now, isn't it? It's just always Stalwart launching grenades.
Yeah, they're absolutely brilliant at it as well. I don't really think there's many nades that they have missed if they've got info on where the player is. I think that was the massive downfall or angle for Gladiators when they played against them, is that they just didn't back off. They held that ground. And once that happened, so it was just like, well, we're very good at tossing these, so have a couple of nades your way and chow down on that, in which case it was pretty much game over from there onwards. Overall, though, for the players on Stalwart, just 2 alive. They do have a concrete to work with, so holding out Alter Ego is their main problem right now, especially with them getting a bit of the circle for themselves. Gladiators looking to find at least a direction to get in towards this circle. Meku extremely low on the party bus, will need to heal soon, but the blue is still pushing in, so they don't have a lot of time to make this work, Jackie.
They don't at all. And you've still got to bypass one squad that's just ahead of you. So for Gladiators, are they able to make their way in cleanly? You're going to have a lot of crosshairs honed in on you. Meanwhile, Tiamba as well, forced to fight versus Rejects. Rejects feeling like they've been warming up over the course of the day again. What can they do right now? Struck down by the initial commotion, as we actually see at least a bit of a clean trade back on Tiamba. Relatively easy for them, as they'll pick them to pieces. Only one man really remains, and what can you do at this point? You could see if potentially he could pick off some of the fragmented players. Regin Ocio would be the first point of contact, and he's taking shots from the back as well. It looks like that might be DX that are starting to get stuck into it. No, it's Evos that are coming over the hill, with Zuxi actually being sideswiped as well. So the commotion continues on this one. You've now basically got 4 squads all grouped on top of one another, and we're seeing those numbers dwindling quite quickly. So a lot of loose elimination points could be hoovered up here.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough position on the circle to play because there's so much open sight lines available to you. A lot of these little ditches and valleys to play around with. Tiamba, Lee does unleash a grenade over towards Regiocio. He makes a good spray, and that'll be lead down. Instantly reject his move, and they know they need to get in towards position to start fending off versus Pasija Evos, who is their next target on the list. Gladiators lost the majority of their players. Tough rotate, but one of those decisions again where it's a case of they could have fought versus Reject, hopefully won the 3v4 and then had a better time of it, but instead they opted for the safety play, and I think that they just need to have a bit more confidence in themselves there. Again, this doesn't work out well, and I'm not defending them. I feel like something could have way better happened here. Tixi likely to go down any second now.
It feels like at this stage of PMGC, confidence is everything. And if you've not got confidence in these sort of situations, you've kind of already lost it. You know, taking the lesser road, thinking that they wouldn't have to fight as hard to get through it, hasn't really paid off there. And for Reset Tokyo as well, that feels like the sort of squad, you know, the side where Gladiators should be confident to have a 1 versus 1, have a head-on team scrap, but just not feeling it, not enough fuel in the tank, so they go up. Meanwhile, Rosemary striking back versus Falcons as well. Wings clipped on Puncher as he's down on his last legs. They've got utility in the back pocket. 5 grenades to play with, some Molotovs as well. Hoping that that will be on target. Definitely is. Oh, that's a big boy.
It's kind of like throwing the dynamite, blowing up the rock behind him as well. Open an opportunity. Alter Ego been fairly quiet, but now making a lot of noise. They bring the thunder here. Actually unleashing some fireworks a bit too early. It's not quite the 5th just yet, boys, but still making it happen. That's good news for Alter Ego. They have circumvented a lot of these positions on the map, and now they want to take a bit of that high ground. Might even start pushing up towards Zia on that western side. They've taken a knock in RNJ, and bruh, they're continuing their warpath here, Jackie.
They are indeed. They haven't stopped, mate. They're getting a whole lot more confidence the longer the day's gone on, and this is the change of pace that we were hoping to see from Bra eSports, giving up the ego challenges early, playing out for the longevity of these games. And here on Miramar, maybe there's an opportunity that they can really thrust themselves a bit further up the standings. 4 eliminations to their name right now. Talking of elims as well, we say goodbye to Rejects as they are gone, dusted out of the server now. Evo is still alive though, but they've been taking a bit of damage. Green around their gills as they're down to just 2 players. IA on the move as well, clearing out the buildings here. And look how close the grouping is. So many teams on top of one another, with the only thing dividing them being thin walls and a layer of verticality.
Yeah, it's a cruel circle as well because you're not entirely sure where it's going to end up. You're going to have to cross the road like a chicken at some point, have your head torn off. That's the issue that a lot of these teams are going to come into in the next couple of minutes as we head towards stage 7 and stage 9. It could be insanely cruel and just center up, in which case 2 teams will have to face off between the roads and maybe have to run across with a smoke train at some point, depending on that center of the circle, because it's very finicky at times. Either way, I'm pretty impressed with Alter Ego this this game. I like the way they've tried to play it out. Loops coming in to clean up the remaining members from Pasiva, Evos, and it will be Luxy tries to make it happen, but Mythic just continues on that death march towards him, not slowing down like a Terminator.
Gotta go quick, like a blue hedgehog instead. Try and use that speed as your advantage. Flanking back round as well, looking to try and reset is ZR, but you're going to run into Alter Ego from this position. Both of them losing numbers now as well, as it seems like the nades will actually be taking them out of commission for good. Readjustment on the peak. Look like Potato is taking pot shots and trying to hold them back. Megamind, wide swing with the nade. They're keeping the pressure on, but it's not really dealing enough damage. That nade certainly will, though. Good trade from Potato. He goes down, sure, but he does a ton of damage to the 3 players' HP bars. So Fnatic is forced into an uncomfortable situation. Survival of the fittest now, where he also needs to deal damage from his little cubby, constantly eating nade after nade, trying to peek out over the top of the smoke. Bullets coming his way. He expires. So will Potato, and Alter Ego are gone.
First time in a while, we've actually seen Zia do something in these matches as well. So able to rock that one down. I mean, RNJ, he survived from earlier, I think, despite getting knocked quite far away from the rest of his team. Stalwart, again, you know, they're always going to be at least in the top 6. They go down here. Good news. I mean, that's still a fairly decent result for them. They're going to continue pumping those points time and time again. But I would be a little bit worried now if I was still about my first place position, because Loops is starting to catch up. They've got 4 players in this end lobby. And right now they're picking apart I8 from Aegon. They're also looking for a couple more players on the cards. They've got a nice bit of high ground to play around with. BRA's down on that low ground. If the circle moves off to that eastern side, Loops have an insanely good chance of winning it. You were saying at the start of the game, that's just one good game that Loops need to overtake, to overlap on STE. There's a chance here on this one.
Oh, it's certainly doable, mate. With how they've been playing today, especially Blank, and the fact you've already got 4 eliminations, you get a couple more elims, you get a couple more under the belt. Suddenly you're thinking about the placement. Suddenly you're trying to see just how far you can take it. If you were to get a chicken dinner out of this, they could definitely guarantee themselves that leapfrog, take first place. And for Stalwart, I don't know if they even know what second looks like at this point. It feels like they've been in the driving seat for so damn long, since day 1 started, all the way back at the beginning. So this would be a bit of a shock for them. We'll see how it goes, though. We won't get ahead of ourselves. Right now, we still have 5 squads alive and kicking. The interesting one is the fact that one of them is Zia. You know, and you're not sort of saying any disrespect when we're saying, yeah, this is the first time we've seen them do something, because to be honest with you, Blank, it feels like they really have been sluggish. They've not been delivering. But into this game, they're hitting shots. They're picking up squad wipes. They're actually being able to find themselves a few points to play with and some elims under the belts. It's impressive from them. But how far does that go? Here with the timing, it's Loops that strike. Backstab onto Blade as they're able to snatch that one away. And Mythic closing the gap now. A lot of space being taken away. Loops, are they going to go full lunatic mode? Can you secure something here? Close down the play versus I8, put them in the bin, and set yourself into the final 4.
Yeah, because they need some psycho plays if they want to make this one happen, because they have to get rid of I8 now. If they want to start pushing over towards that western side where it looks like the circle's starting to go, they need to deal with this team. In the meantime, Chief, he's dealing with BRA off in the distance, which is sort of surprising to me. Lovely spray down from Tospic, but Chief still keeping the boys from BRA at bay, whilst the rest of the team deal with the remaining members from I8. Perfect time to push as well, as they all get shunted out from the concretes. This is gorgeous from Loops. They have just been going from strength to strength, but now they got to leave. Kakali, the gorgeous little side swipe here, really puts the claw on them.
Oh, this is fitting, isn't it, as well? The sides that have hated each other the whole tournament, Blank, DX and Brad, they've been constantly scrapping, but now they're working together to prioritize both Loops and I8 rather than scrapping amongst themselves, dealing damage uphill to weaken the opposition. This is giving a benefit to Loops, though, as Cardoza peeks back in. Hefty blow. He's basically as good as gone at this point, but the Molotov should secure the job for good as Loops connect onto that one. Peek up. Is it good enough? No. IQ dropped. as he's taken out a commission. I8 go up in a puff of smoke as they leave in 4th. 3 squads remain. Bra and DX have been scrapping non-stop over the past 2 days, and that's not going to end here. Levi's nades again punish.
There's hatred coming through from DX at the moment towards BRA. They don't want this team getting a little bit more confidence. They don't want them puffing out their chase, because if they do, they might be back in Pachinki. Loops, though, happy to assist, to help in the endeavor to take down Bra Esport, who have tried their best to stand up today. They're currently in a kneeling stance, but they want to get standing tall. They want to look good in this matchup. There's potential for them still. Levi's crawling away from the blue, and in comes the bombardment. That one looks fairly close. It's just a stun grenade, but Paragin popping down some more smokes. It's Chief once again to take him down.
Ayala as well, warming up now with a Mini 14. Man's an absolute menace with it, and on the UMP, he'll slay from far away, forcing him to hit the DECK. DX out in second. Bra Esport trying to stay alive now as Coursera pushes up, closing the gap, wants to be within touching distance of Loops and see if he can snap back. Has the SMG to work with. Cardozin supporting from above as well, waiting for first contact. They're playing around very fine margins of map geometry here. Not a lot of space to work with. Missing a single shot can be the difference of life or death in a situation like this. Cardozin hits the first, takes down Kakali, puts him on his last legs, finished off by Chief. White on the peak, absolutely annihilates them. They are unstoppable as Loops go lunatic mode and secure the chicken dinner and will leapfrog up to first place.
That's an incredible endgame there from Loops. Really, they had it all in the bag from that high ground, but Chief pulls out a maneuver that I don't think anyone saw coming with that wide swing. He was coming around for a long time, but it's time for Loops. Honestly, 10 eliminations. I think it's 10 points to the chicken dinner. That's